Have you ever wondered what would happen in a world where a small group of people would act selfish every time they get a chance? Imagine the economical, social, and political consequences of a behavior like that. Oh wait, let's start with something smaller. A school? No, it's still too big. Family? Oh, we're closer. How about a human body? Yeah, that's it. Our body is nothing else than a huge cluster of different cells in a well-ordered system having different functions. Some of them transport oxygen, break down material, or send signals at a very high speed. We humans, as a whole, how should I put it? We are organisms. How interesting it is that cells function on their level, and they make up the tissues. The tissues then form the organs, and all of them function perfectly, almost like they have a conscience. And then there is the whole body controlling everything. What would happen in a world this small if only one cell would be selfish all the time? So let's say this cell would be greedy, wanting every single nutrient in its surroundings. At the beginning, our cell could grow very fast, am I right? Then they would get too big. And what do cells do when they get large? They divide and divide and divide. For as long as there are materials that can feed them. Don't forget, they are very complex structures. They need proteins, different types of fats, sugar, a lot of things. Shortly, this whole complex would live its own life in our body. They would grow much faster and aggressive. Other cells nearby would dwindle and slowly starve to death. What would be the outcome of these events? The selfish cell would eventually kill the whole organism, but if the body is dead, it cannot feed this greedy little creature anymore, so it would die as well. The process I just described is exactly what is happening in cancerous tumors. The cancer cells lose their ability to perform something essential for the population to survive: altruism. It can be caused by genetic mutations concerning cell cycle. These mutations can be congenital or results of chemical compounds or radiation. It kills us, then it dies. So how does selfishness even make sense? Well, it doesn't. It is a disease as well. A wrong pattern of behavior leading to the destruction of a higher consciousness. Let's see the problem from a different angle for a moment. What is the reason behind altruism? Everybody should look out for themselves? Well, not exactly. But to speak about it, let's define what it means. Altruism, or selflessness, is the principle or practice of concern for the welfare of others. The word was coined by the French philosopher Auguste Comte, in French as altruisme, as an antonym for egoism. He derived it from the Italian altrui, which in turn was derived from the Latin alteri, meaning other people or somebody else. Altruism in biological organisms can be defined as an individual performing an action which is at a cost to, but benefits directly or indirectly a third-party individual without expectation of reciprocity or compensation for that action. Much debate exists as to whether true altruism is possible in human psychology. Jorge Moll and Jordan Grafman, neuroscientists at the National Institutes of Health, showed that both pure, monetary rewards and charitable donations activated the mesolimbic reward pathway, a primitive part of the brain that usually lights up in response to food and sex. However, when volunteers generously place the interests of others before their own by making charitable donations, another brain circuit was selectively activated: the subgenual cortex and the septal region. These structures are intimately related to social attachment and bonding in other species. Altruism, the experiment suggested, was not a superior moral faculty that suppresses basic selfish urges, but rather basic to the brain, hardwired and pleasurable. There is a different perspective to the story. The theory of psychological egoism suggests that no act of sharing, helping, or sacrificing can be described as truly altruistic, as the actor may receive an intrinsic reward in the form of personal gratification. The validity of this argument depends on whether intrinsic reward qualifies as benefit. Joel Feinberg, in his 1958 paper Psychological Egoism, embraces a critique by drawing attention to the infinite regress of psychological egoism. He expounds it in the following cross-examination. All men desire only satisfaction. Satisfaction of what? Satisfaction of their desires. Their desires for what? Their desires for satisfaction. Satisfaction of what? Their desires. For what? For satisfaction. Etc. ad infinitum. Now that we see what problems we face, let me ask another question. Is selflessness always the right choice of act? How can one perform altruism without being accused of egoism? Well, I might say none of them is the right way for our actions. I would choose a better word: symbiosis. Symbiosis is a close and often long-term interaction between different species. We humans, I know, we are one species, therefore symbiosis cannot be used in this way. But are we really created from the same material? We are different from any other species on this earth because we have different motivations, though we represent the same population. The basic motivation for animals, for every living creature, is survival. Every organism have a different way to achieve it. But if we look at the species on its own, it's the same. But us, humans, our psychology, the capability of mind can bring us so far from each other that we appear like different psychological species. Different ideas, problems, lives. The solution is symbiosis. Now go back to the first question I asked in this video. What would happen in a world where egoism rules everything? Parasitism in that way would ruin society. It is just a matter of time. If we don't help each other equally, if we can't coexist with our different thoughts, perspectives, and religions, if we stubbornly hold to our conceptions about the world based on culture, skin color, education, feelings like hatred and unacceptance, we will slowly transform into the cancerous tumor of our own society. If our only goal becomes earning more and more money by exploiting others, by manipulating, by destroying whole ecosystems, society known today will not be able to sustain itself because of a tumor growing larger and larger every day, slowly killing the organism. So what I propose is a society where instead of egoism, we choose symbiosis. Where not making another war, another business from other people's suffering makes sense. A society based on reciprocity, where common goals can be achieved by helping others and being helped in return. A society where satisfaction would be the welfare of humanity, and therefore the welfare of ourselves. Goodbye, and thanks for watching.